Okay, welcome to the fourth week of the mini paint challenge. We are doing a really cool reference today. I wanted to do something since New Year's is coming up, and they've got we're doing like a gingerbread house right now, and so we have all these like little candy stars to go on the gingerbread house. So I took some cute pictures of the stars, and we're gonna do that. So if you're new here, this is the mini paint challenge, and I do a reference and a live stream every single week, so you can join in whenever you'd like, or you can go back and like do old references and stuff. But to join the challenge, you can just tag me on social media with your version of the reference photo with the hashtag mini paint challenge, and then just tag me at Meg and Josol art, so then I can show your art a little bit of love. So I'm going to switch to the paint mixing scene here. I've got some paint already on my palette from last week. And yeah, because I guess I haven't painted since last week because I've been working on the gingerbread house and it was Christmas time for us here. So happy holidays, everyone, if you celebrate the holidays. Okay, so we've got some titanium white here. And then we've got some alizarin crimson. This one is cadmium orange, and then cadmium yellow light. And then this one is sap green. I'll probably use sap green a little bit too today. We did, I think it was the phthalo turquoise we did. And then cerulean blue. And this one is ultramarine blue. And then this one is quinacridone violet, yeah. And I think we will pretty much use most of these today. I think even we might use some of the phthalo turquoise because a little bit in the reference there, here, I got a little arrow so I can move this around. In the reference, kind of along the shadow section, we've got a bit of the turquoise color in the shadows there, so that'll be nice. And then you can kind of see that there's like bluish tones even in the shadow here, and that's a little bit turquoise as well, so we'll definitely use that color as well. I thought it would be kind of fun to do like a bright background and a more like simple object. I guess stars can be kind of complex sometimes, but I wanted to keep it like a solid color for the main image and then a colorful background just so I can show you how I blend out like a gradient background like that, because it's like a gradient at the top and then we've got like closer to the bottom, it's almost like it's on like a white surface, but the reflections and stuff are really cool. I just thought it was really neat. So we are going to start out, I think, by mixing the colors for, let's do the little stars first, because we're going to paint the little stars first anyway. Okay. Let's see. Let's start out with the darkest areas. So I'm actually going to go in with a little bit of the ultramarine blue. And while you're taking these out onto your palette, if you're not familiar with your colors, just hold your thing up to where your stars are and just see where the color sits and how much. We're also going to add cerulean blue to lighten it a bit. But by holding it up, then you can see how much you might want to add. It's a lot of just like playing around with the colors to see what will work out. I'm going to add a little bit of white. Just see how that looks. So that's pretty bright still. There's actually a bit of like a green tone in there. So I'm going to take a little bit of sap green, not too much sap green. And by adding sap green, it's gonna just bring a slight green tone into it, which is kind of like adding yellow to it by adding the sap green. Sap green is a mix of a few different colors, I was saying last week. It's a really nice color to have on your palette. It's a color that Bob Ross used, so got that sap green color from him. Okay, that blue is looking actually really nice too in the shadow areas. So I'm going to set that aside. Over here, I'm going to make little piles, little nice piles, so then it's nice to organize your palette with the colors that you're wanting to use, so then it's just easier to find stuff as you're mixing. Now I left a little bit of the color here, so then we can take some, I would say we've got to add a little bit more cerulean blue to do the lighter areas, and then we'll add a bit of white in there, and we'll see how close we can get that. I just cleaned off my palette, so it's kind of squeaky. I store my palette in the freezer, so I find it gets squeaky after storing it in the freezer. I haven't let it fully cool off yet. Hey, we need the base colors again. Yeah, I just said the base colors. I already put them in the description there. The only one I think I don't have in the description is quinacridone violet. Yeah, try spelling that. My husband's there helping me out on the chat. Okay, that one's honestly like, it's a little lighter, but I think we need to go a bit lighter with that. Yeah, I tried to set up as much as I could. All the colors should be in the description, especially if you're watching it back. I'll make sure it's all there, but it should be there right now. I edited that last night just to make sure I had all the colors visible. Okay, that blue's looking good. So I'll add that one there. And then I actually want a lighter blue as well for kind of the highlight areas. So I'm going to add quite a bit of the titanium white to it. And this is just going to give us those highlights along the edges. You guys you're gonna have to let me know down below what type of paint or art supplies you guys are using to recreate these. Seen a few people use watercolor. Some people have used some pencils. I look forward to the day where like someone like knits something or does some sort of like embroidery with it. I think that would be really cool. I feel like there's a bunch of different mediums you can use to create these. I personally like oil painting, so that's why I'm doing it in oil paint. I started oil painting like 2 years ago now. 2 years ago, yeah, at Christmas time. Because I bought myself for Christmas my own little oil painting supplies. And then yeah, I just, ever since then, that's what I do. It was just something I always really wanted to learn. And I'm also just wiping my palette knife on just an old towel. Cut up a bunch of old towels. Okay, so I think we still need a slightly darker area because we've got this, but there's definitely some darker bits, and I want to add a bit of the phthalo turquoise into it, just because I think it'll look really pretty. I'm gonna lighten it with a bit of yellow instead of white because we don't want to add too much white to this. Okay, let's see how that looks up against it. little bit more white, or a little bit more yellow. Make it like greeny. Hopefully not too green. If you go too far in one direction though, you can just add more of the base color. That's the thing with paint mixing is, yeah, we went a little too far that way. So. Such a pretty color. I love the phthalo turquoise. That's like a really deep color. I'm actually going to save that color because I think that'll be nice. And then as we're painting, we can maybe do a transition between these two colors by just kind of like mixing them on the side. And then, so it looks like we've got the main things for the star. And then I want to work on, let's work on the top colors that we've got. So we've got, I would say, here, let me clean this off so we don't get any mixing of this color in the background. Quinacridone violet, I think, will be a really good color to start with. Now, that's obviously like way too dark, so we're going to add some white to it. And slowly just add white to it until it's the color that we want. And I'm mixing a decent amount of this so we don't run out of background color. Let's see. I want it a little lighter actually. So I'm gonna add okay. Now I'm not going for as bright as the background. Tone the colors down like just a little bit. That one's like pretty good. I actually might want to go grab the quinacridone magenta as well. Gonna try to open it. So this is quinacridone magenta, which is close to the violet, but it's got like a brighter pink instead of like the blue tones to make it more purple. I just want to add a bit of this to it. I think it'll get it closer to the color we want. Just get in there. Let's compare that color. Yeah, that's closer to what we want for sure. So I'm going to take most of this and leave a little bit behind. And I'm going to put it here. And then it's kind of fading into, I would say, kind of like an orangey pinky color as it kind of, here, I'll use the arrow. So we're kind of doing like this section right here, and then we're gonna blend it down into this section so it's like more pink as it gets down to this white area. And then this is like more orange as we go over here. So we'll have to add like different colors. So we'll do the white section first down into here, and then we'll go over this way. So this one, Gonna add some white, lighten that up quite a bit. See how close that is. So yeah, that's exactly what we want as a transition down in that section. And then we actually want to go even lighter here. We're going to add some more white to that as well, just to make a bunch of different transitions. It's best that we mix our colors beforehand so we're not like damaging our brushes. We want to avoid damaging our brushes because our brushes are expensive and we don't want to damage our tools. Okay, we've got, yeah, now we've got the lighter pink in that bottom section there. And then as we get down into this white section here, it's actually got like a purpley tint to it. So we can go from that pink color to a purple by adding, I think, a little bit of the ultramarine blue. Should make it pretty purple. And we want to add a bit of white. We want to make sure we have enough of this color. So I'm actually gonna make a bit more of it. But I guess we're also doing a mini painting, so don't need excessive amounts of the color. It should go pretty far. Okay, let's compare that. That's actually pretty close, honestly. I would add a little bit more blue to it, but it's like pretty close. A little bit more of the ultramarine blue. Such a pretty purple. So many fun colors in this background. Yeah, that's a really nice purple there, and that'll be kind of, like I said, for this section here. Even down into this bottom section a little bit here, there's like that purple color. Now we're gonna do this like blue color there. Okay, I'm gonna put that on my palette. Add some cerulean blue for that other section. I'll put that on the side and grab let's see how that matches up. So that's pretty bright still. We want to tone it down with that purpley color. So I'm gonna do some more quinacridone violet, a little bit of that base color we had made. Just to add that purple back in. But it's more like a bluey purple this time. With the bright blue. Even add a bit more blue to that. Just have to be careful with cerulean blue because it is very, very pigmented and you don't need a lot of it. I was saying last week that like I've had this tube for 2 years and I've hardly used any of it. Like there's just like only that much. So it lasts a really long time if you just use like little bits of it, especially if you're doing mini paintings. That's like pretty close, honestly. I like that. Okay, so that's for kind of like the front shadow area, like where my mouse is pointing here. It's like that little front shadow. It's like the blue is like reflecting off of it. And then the blue underneath the stars here, we can maybe do that next. So right underneath the stars, there's, if you, I have the reference photos downloaded, or you can download them on my website too, if you want to take like a closer look at the reference photos. Maybe Arvin can put my website in the chat where you can find that, put the link to that part of my website with the mini paint challenge, and there's, yeah, just downloadable references at the bottom, so you can download all these references. Just makes it easier, I think. Okay, blue. It's a very dark blue right underneath the shadow, and I was kind of saying it's almost like got that turquoise color in it, so I'm going to bring in the turquoise, but we're going to lighten that turquoise maybe with a little bit of yellow to make it like greeny. Might have went a little green there. Okay, let's see how close that is. That is too green. I was right. Okay, we'll put that over to the side. We'll use a little bit of it because we can still keep that. We'll start with the cerulean blue again. And we'll do a little ultramarine blue. A little phthalo turquoise. I'm like a chatbot. Exactly. My husband is the mod right now. I could actually add a chatbot. Haven't streamed in a while, but me and my husband actually used to stream on Twitch, like video games and stuff, and so my husband mostly was the one streaming, but I was the one managing the stream in the background. So I had set up, you know, chat bots and stuff in the background for him, and I made sure all of the scenes on like Streamlabs, OBS was all set up and ready to go. So that skill has, I guess, helped me with my painting. Because I think I always knew I wanted to do a live stream, just because I really did enjoy kind of having a community and like people to talk to while I was doing, I mean, before it was video games, but now it's painting, and it's kind of nice to have someone to paint with and to hang out with while you're doing painting. I'm going to add a bit of white to that. Closer to the color we want. That was like very green over there. It's like pretty close to the color we want underneath that. I'm gonna put this color, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I like how that color turned out. Yeah. I was gonna say I'm gonna put the color here since it goes kind of with that anyway, with the star colors. Oh man. Maybe my husband, Arvin, can you bring me some lip chap? My lips have been so chapped lately. We've been dehumidifying the house a lot lately. We are going to go back up, I think, to the top here and work on this transition color between this bright pink and orange now, and then we'll work our way back down to these shadows and stuff here. So we'll do this middle color. I'm going to put these off to the side. Blah, he says. Thanks, hon.
Why am I getting lip chap?
Getting me lip chap.
Use the orange one.
No, I don't like the orange one. No, I'm not using your lip chap.
Where's your other one?
There's one in the drawer upstairs where you just were. In the bathroom. Thanks, honey. Oh my goodness. Okay. Getting distracted. Okay, so we want that like orangey pink color in between. So we started out with a bit of this, the quinacridone violet and quinacridone magenta.
Whatever that word is.
Quinacridone.
Fancy color.
A fancy color.
With a name I can't figure out.
Can you actually get me my water bottle too? Clearly I didn't prepare this morning.
Where is it?
I don't know, just give me a glass of water, that's fine. I'm thirsty. Okay. Quinacridone magenta. Quinacridone violet.
Can you spell the first part?
Quinacridone?
Yeah, man, like I'm supposed to spell that.
This Quinacridone. Quinacridone. Just Google it. Oh, he got me some water too. That's what I need, is some water. Okay, what we're doing the transition color. Okay, so I think if we just add like a little bit of yellow in there, some of the cadmium yellow, it'll slowly turn this orange, and let's see how that looks. And if it looks bad, then we won't do that, but sometimes it's just playing with the colors and deciding if it's gonna look good. No, that looks not good. That's more of like the shadow color at the bottom. Yeah, that's more of like the shadow color at the bottom. Like it's all right, but it's actually close to the shadow color. We could still use that. Definitely did that on purpose. I knew right away when I added that other color that it would not work. Yeah, so that's okay. We can use that kind of along the shadow at the bottom of the hearts, or of the stars. I'm going to leave this off to the side for now because we will use that color. But that is not the transition color we were looking for. We are looking for more of this color. So that's alizarin crimson and a little bit of yellow. A lot yellow. I'm going to see how that looks. That's more of the orange that we want. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so that's actually pretty accurate. So it's just the alizarin crimson and the yellow, and that makes up a pretty good orange base color on the side. Okay, and I'm slowly going to transition it into this color here, the quinacridone magenta. Quinacridone, exactly. That's you got it. This is kind of like closer to the shadow colors. I'm gonna put that there. Okay, that transition color, it goes a little bit light. So okay, it's in the description now. Thanks, hun. Yeah, you can drop the colors in the chat too. I mean, I don't think they can see the chat if they're watching it back, but if someone is currently watching and wants to see the colors again, then they will be there. That is not what I wanted either. Sometimes you go to mix colors, and I can still use that though. Okay. I feel like if we just take alizarin crimson and add a bit of white, it'll be a better transition. Yeah, that's more of what we want. Yeah, that's a better transition color, and now we can kind of move it down into the bottom part. So that's kind of the one side, that's the other side, and that's the middle. Ew, it lost the list form. Yeah, it's close enough. Thanks, Sin. And then, so we're gonna work on the transition right here at the back, because it's a slightly different color than the transition over here. Just gonna add some more white to the alizarin crimson mix that we just made. And I was saying this last week, but the colors might look a little bit different on screen because screens aren't, the cameras and stuff aren't fully calibrated and stuff on everyone's end. So the colors will look a little bit different, but if you use similar colors to what I'm doing and mix them and just check on your screen, then you should be able to get a close enough color to what I'm doing too. Okay, we've got this guy here. I'm trying to do this transition color at the bottom. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Like that. So it's kind of like on the other side. This one's more purple and this one's got more of the pinkish color. And then as we go down, we've got to do like a transition between this color and like the purple. So I'm going to take a bit more alizarin crimson. And white. Just to make a little bit more of that color. And then we're going to add a little bit of the quinacridone violet. Just to have a nice transition color. I'll use a bit more actually. Let's see how close that is over there. I'm gonna hold this up again. So we definitely need it a little bit more purple. So I'm gonna start adding a little bit of the ultramarine blue to it. Let's see if that's a little closer. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. It's almost similar to this color now, but it's like a little bit different. Slightly different. So it'll be the transition between these colors here. And then we've got background colors remind me of the ones he used for the pine cone. Oh yeah, I guess yeah. That one was very colorful. It had kind of these bright colors as well with the oranges and stuff. I really liked that pine cone one. That was like one of my favorite paintings lately. Okay, we've got to get a really dark shadow here. Now, we started mixing this one, and this is actually pretty close to the shadow. I'm going to set some of this to the side because I do like this for the shadow. Set it at the bottom there. And then we'll bring this in here, and we're going to make this a little bit darker for the shadow. Because we're looking, it's pretty close, but I want to add a little bit more of the deep blue in there and alizarin crimson, and that'll kind of make it a little bit darker in value. When I say value, I'm also talking about like the light and dark in certain areas. And so you can see that this is like a way darker purple or color than all of these kind of other ones in value. And you want to have the areas that are in no light, so the shadows, to be a lot darker and desaturated. And when I talk about desaturating a color, I'm adding, I would say, the opposite color on the color wheel. So if you grab a color wheel, a lot of like programs like Paint and stuff have a color wheel. And if you look at the color on the opposite side, you can just kind of like add that base color, and that will desaturate the color a bit and create this like darker shadow. So I'm actually really liking this. I do want to make it a little bit deeper blue, but it's got a really nice color already. I still like to keep a little bit of saturation in my shadows, just because you can do whatever you want when you're painting. You don't have to make it look like super realistic. I wouldn't say that I'm a hyper-realism painter. I just like to get the gist of what it is. I'm more like painterly realism with my painting, but there's a lot of different styles. It's really cool when you like look into all of the different styles of painting there is. Right now I'm just comparing it. That back shadow actually has got more of like an orangey tint, whereas this front shadow has more of like the purpley tint. So I'm actually gonna do one more shadow color, and I'll put it over here. So this is more of the front shadow, and then this orangey color, I think, will actually work for the shadow if we deepen it with some blue. Maybe. Let's see. It's got kind of like an orangey, kind of brown, orangey green color. Definitely made that a little dark. No, I don't like that. You can make a deep orange color though, with a bit of red, a little bit of yellow. It's very red, but it's actually pretty close. And I think if we just add a little bit of blue in it. Because we added a little bit too much yellow into that, and it turned that like color, but this is getting closer to what we want. Want more of those reds to come out. It's getting a little dark still, so we can add a little bit of yellow to it. If we add too much yellow, it's going to go like super green, which we don't want. That is looking a lot better. I'm going to even lighten it a little. Don't want to add too much white into the shadow. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's a nice deep red. So those are the shadow colors. I might even extend this shadow color into the back if I don't feel like using this, but this does match the back shadow a little bit more if I want to be more accurate with it. But we'll see how I'm feeling. Okay, I think we have like a really colorful, like nice palette. I'm really happy with how that turned out. I am going to put my little rag here. I'm going to move some of these colors so I can put my paint brushes on there. Just cleaning this off. Okay. I can transition to the main paint scene now. I'm going to move my face cam so it's over a bit, and then you guys can see my face a little bit better while I'm painting. Because right here is where I'm going to be standing for the painting. I've got, you can kind of see, got a bit of my camera there. I didn't turn on the Christmas tree. Still have the Christmas cat tree up. I can turn this on so you guys can see it. We're going to take it down soon because it's almost New Year's. There we go. So while I'm painting over here, you should see me a little bit better. I'm going to open this up so it's a little easier. Hopefully you can see all my colors okay. There we go. I tried to zoom into this bottom section so it's a bit easier to see. And then you can see when I'm like wiping off the brush too. Now I have this little jar of linseed oil, and that's what I'm going to be using to clean off my brush in between colors. So I will put it maybe in frame a bit so you can see when I'm like dipping my brush into it a bit. There. Oh, and I also like to use a bit of the solvent-free gel by Gamblin too. So I like to paint solvent-free because some of the solvents aren't very good for you. So that's a good alternative, is that, and then linseed oil. Some people use like walnut oil too. I haven't actually tried walnut oil, but I will have to buy some walnut oil and try it out. And then let you guys know how I like it. Okay, I'm just setting up my cameras here. I'm going to film a time lapse as well with these. Hey! Welcome to the stream. Happy holidays. It is that kind of dead time between Christmas and New Year's right now, so I figured running the stream would be kind of nice if people are a little bored at this time of the year. Okay, I'm gonna start the time-lapse camera, and then I've got just a little sketch here. I hope it's all visible and you guys can see it okay. I'm gonna take I have this like little kneaded eraser, and I'm just gonna dab off a little bit of the graphite, sorry. And my holidays were good. I had pretty good holidays. We just kind of stayed home this year and relaxed. We spent all of Christmas Day playing the Stardew Valley board game. So we're really big fans of the video game Stardew Valley. And when we found out they had a board game, we were like searching for the last couple months for it, and we ended up finding it close by right before Christmas. So we got our son the Stardew Valley board game, and then yeah, we just spent all day playing it. It's a really, really cool game. It's a cooperative game, so we all like work together to try to defeat the JoJo Mart. We ended up losing in the end. We need to work on our strategies for the game. How were your holidays? Did you have a good holiday? I always wonder what other people are up to for the holidays. There's so many like different traditions and stuff around this time of the year. And then right now we're also making a gingerbread village. I just announced yesterday we're doing a Stardew Valley themed gingerbread village. So if you haven't seen that short yet, we do like a full week of gingerbread building, and that's what we're gonna be doing. Oh, that's good. Yeah, just like chill, right? Like it's nice to just hang out and chill for the holidays. We didn't have any like family plans or anything. I guess we saw some friends and we did like a little dinner, but nothing too crazy. Nice to just relax. Okay, I am going to start out with, I think, painting the little stars. I'm gonna start with a number 4 Josol Blender Princeton Velvet Touch brush. I really like the tips on these. It's easy to blend as I'm going. Yeah, I guess I'll show you guys over here. It's just got kind of like a flat tip on it, and I find it's easy to use. So we're gonna start out with the darker color first. So I'm gonna go in with the darkest colors, and then we'll move to the lighter colors. So we're gonna go in with this turquoise color, and we will put it in the top area here. It's kind of along the edges. This is like a trust the process kind of thing, because it's gonna look like really wonky at first when you're just like slowly adding in the colors. Now, if you're having a hard time judging where the colors go and like the values and stuff, make sure that you tone your background or use paper that's like toned in the back. It will really help you determine like where to put the colors on your paper. Some people like to use like an acrylic underlayer too. I just like the feel of the paper though, so that's why I don't normally put anything in the background. Just making it hard on myself. Because it makes it harder to judge colors, but if you already pre-mixed your colors, you kind of have an idea of what your colors are going to be anyway, so it makes up for not using a toned background. So this is the darkest areas of the star. I'm using that teal color. I really like that teal color too. It's really pretty. I think I'll probably put it along the top part of the stars here, kind of at the back section. There's a bit of dimension in the stars. It'll add a bit of depth. And then we've got, I'm going to clean off my brush a little bit. Dip it in the linseed oil just to clean it off. You can see how much pigment comes out just by doing that. The blues tend to be a lot harder to get out. I'm not going to get it out fully though, because we're going to dip into this anyway, which is another deep color. So we're going to go to the second color down, and we're going to slowly work on bringing this color into the shadows as well. Just so we have two different tones in there, because I feel like we need a little variety in the shadow. Keep bringing that in there. And this part of the shadow over here, we've actually got like a reflection from somewhere too, so we'll add like a slightly lighter blue to this bottom section. So I'm going to leave that blank for now. And then well, thank you for stopping by. It's nice to have some of you guys stop by. I've been kind of having people like go in and out of the stream, but it's nice to like have you guys hang out for a little bit and come and chat when you can. See you in a bit. I'll still be here painting. I have a feeling this will take me maybe a few hours to fully finish today, so at the latest 1 o'clock I'll be here. Okay. Got this part here. Then and we don't have school pickup today. That is very true. Our son is home today. Normally I have to make sure I'm done by 2 o'clock when his school pickup is. But we don't have to do that. So go as long as needed, right? Yeah. And I'll just keep going. It shouldn't take me that long though. Like, shouldn't take me that long to paint this. Okay. Got those colors in here. Like I said, we're just adding the base colors down, and then we'll go back in and add like details afterwards. You always want to add kind of those base shapes and colors first, and try not to like blend as you're going until you're starting to add the details. just to make it a little easier. I find the colors come out a little bit nicer too. Okay, we're going to go to this third color down. We're going to start adding that in. So this lighter blue definitely is in this section. Then, so got that. There is some deeper parts kind of in that area, so we'll add those after. Just adding the lighter colors there. Just to add a little bit of dimension to it. I'm going to keep some of those extra shadows within the star there. You can kind of see here, I can use my arrow to move this around, but you can see like there's certain dark parts in these parts of the stars, and then you move over this way and there's lighter parts, so that's what we're working on right now. Just adding the lighter sections. And then we will go into this area. Okay. I'm going to mix a little bit of this color with this darker blue. And that's going to be a nice transition color in these sections here. I actually need a little darker. And then we will add some darker areas to here actually. And you'll slowly start to see the stars coming together. Okay. Then 2. I haven't actually tried the star candy yet. I hope they taste good. They look really cute. These are the star candy we're gonna use for the gingerbread house, and I'm just so excited. I'm like thinking about like all of the things we're gonna do for the gingerbread house today. It'd be so fun to add a few more sections to the gingerbread house. We have so much gingerbread dough to bake right now. It's just so fun to plan it. And to cut all the little pieces out, and there's so many things I feel like I want to add to the gingerbread house too. I don't know if we'll have enough time this week to do like all the little things, because you can only do it for so long, and then you know the gingerbread's not going to last too long out on the counter, so I don't have like a big enough fridge to store it in. We could put it, I guess, in the deep freeze, but I don't know how good it'll taste, or how good it'll hold up. It'll taste fine in the freezer, because normally after we do the massive gingerbread, we freeze it all, and then it tastes really good from the freezer, but I don't want to like freeze it in the middle of it, right? Okay, add a little bit there. There, we can slowly start seeing the dimension and the stars there. I'm gonna have to round out the edges too a little bit as we go along, but it looks pretty good so far. And then I'm gonna clean that darker blue off a little bit. And I'm gonna go back in kind of this lighter blue. There was a little bit of highlights in these back sections, so I left a little space to blend a little bit of that out there. Okay. I'm gonna try to clean this off a decent amount so we can add the really white blue in the highlight sections. We're not adding the final highlights at this point because we haven't blended anything out, but I'm just adding you can tell that there's some really light sections along the front here. Along the edges of the star here. And as we add these colors and we blend them out, you'll start to see it coming together. This part is a little bit brighter here. And with this section here. We saved this to add a little bit of like a reflection in the back section. Add a little bit of lightness. I'm trying to kind of like reshape the stars a little bit too, to more of my liking. And I'm just re-dipping in the white because sometimes when you're putting the white blue on, it's going to mix with some of the darker colors. And I really want that section to kind of stand out. I'm going to probably take a fine tip one at the end as well. Okay. There. I'm gonna actually we'll fix up the stars as we add the background in too, because we can cover the edges a little bit with the background color. So I'm just cleaning this off a bit. I'm going to put it over to the side. I'm actually going to take one of my smaller brushes. I have the 20/0 liner brush by Princeton as well. It's the Velvet Touch one. And I will take one of these little blender brushes too. I have a round Princeton Imperial brush, the 2/0. And I'm going to take this one just to like blend out some of those really harsh lines. And this is just small enough to get in there a little bit more and really blend it out. You see the difference between that like star and the other stars after you've like kind of blended it out. And I'm using a very, very tiny motion, and then I'm taking my brush like as I'm blending too, because we're dry brushing, and you want to like dip your brush off a little bit. I have another cloth that's like right beside my easel too, and I'm kind of just dipping it off on it in between blends of colors, so then you don't get too much of the colors you don't want in there. Okay. Actually, I could take this into the lighter color, and it looks like there's a bit of that like reflection on the side of this star too. Just gonna take that in there. Yeah. And then we're gonna slowly blend the middle one out as well. Just gonna move along them all and blend them out. And then we'll go back in and add details after this. We'll just sharpen up the lines a little bit more along the edges and add some highlights. But really laying those base colors down helps you establish where all of the dimension is and things. Like I said, it doesn't look super pretty at first, but once you start blending it out and adding the details, then it'll look a little bit better. So definitely trust the process. This star is a little wonky at the bottom, but that's okay. We got their candies. Got there. Looking pretty good. I think we can start adding a little bit of detail now. Now I'm going to go in, like I said, with the liner brush, and I'm going to start with, I think, the darker colors first. So we've got this teal color, and I'm going to outline the darkest sections. And then I've also got okay. Go along this section here. Slowly bring this down. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's getting there. It's getting closer to what we want it to be. Just adding in the details now. Yes, welcome back to the painting. Just taking the blender brush again and blending this out where I want it. Because the stars are going to look wonky before they look better. I'm going to add a bit of that highlight into this section at the bottom here to extend the star. I think it'll start to be the shape we want as I add that in. And that section there. Do you have any plans for today? Are you up to anything interesting today? Is it just like a rest day? Okay. Not really. Just a rest day, yeah. Honestly, I think that's what I'm going to do after this too. I mean, obviously do the gingerbread house too, but I'm just going to rest for a little bit after this. Maybe cook some food would be nice. I think I want to make some homemade sushi today. I think that would be good. We like making our own sushi. I think we bought all the ingredients for it too, so should have enough for it. Okay. Yeah, it's one of our favorite meals to make. It's just so good. Yeah, I guess sushi can be kind of creative too. It's like designing your own rolls, and I like to make them like look really pretty too. Like set them all out nicely in like a cute little platter. It's fun to play with the types of sushi we make too. This is getting there. We've got more highlights on this back one along the top too. And then it looks like we've got highlights along this side. I'm going to use like a more detailed brush to add more highlights as well, but for now, there's actually a bit of highlights in some of those shadow areas. I'm going to take the darker color again. And I'm going to re-outline some of these darker sections. We've got some deeper sections in this back one as well. Darker section there. And then we'll add the shadows underneath the star, I think, closer to the end. We'll just focus more on the background before we get the shadows in. But I wanted to get the stars in first, just because they're like the highlight of the piece, right? Okay, I almost went a little too dark, so if you go a little too dark with one area, you can kind of take your little blender brush and work it out a little bit. Make it less defined and sharp there. That's like looking pretty close to what we want. And now we got to add the highlights because that will really add a lot of dimension to it. So I'm going to clean off this super tiny brush. And this will be great for adding the highlights. And I think we'll add the highlights in. Oh, thank you. Thanks for joining in today. It's nice when some of my followers can come and say hi in the middle of it. I know the stream doesn't like work for everyone, the timing for it, but I'm glad that I guess most people are on holidays this week, so it's like the perfect week. I've had a few people come in and say hi, so thanks for joining and being here to hang out. So glad I started these live streams. It's really nice to paint with other people and to like hang out like this. Okay, we're gonna add the highlights in now. So I'm gonna start out with this blue color. I'm gonna add a little bit of linseed oil to it. Sometimes the white, when you add titanium white to things, it makes it harder to spread. So I'm gonna go in just a little bit of linseed oil in there and coat the brush as much as I can. And then we're gonna go in and add some highlights. Okay. So there is definitely a highlight along this section in the end. And I'm just gonna keep dipping my brush in so then we get like really bright highlights along the edges. Got some highlights along here. I might actually use brighter highlights for that section. I'll go in with more of just the white afterwards to add even more highlight. And then a few highlights along here. And we will put some highlights along this outer edge here. So highlight on I think adding highlights has got to be one of my favorite parts. It's just like cool to see it come together with all the like tiny little details. Okay, so I'm grabbing a little bit of titanium white, so like this really bright white color. Got a bit of a blue tint to it. Add a little bit of linseed oil just to thin it out a bit. And we'll add some really bright highlights now over top of those blue ones we just added. And those will hopefully make it pop a little bit more. Where do you get your reference photos? So this one I actually took myself, and then I edited the photo in Photoshop and added like a colorful background to it, the gradient. So this one's one of my own reference photos. And then sometimes for reference photos, I also get them on like the free sites. So like Pixels is one. And then I also get photos from Canva as well because I have like their pro or premium membership there. And so I like to get my reference photos there sometimes. And when I'm like getting other people's reference photos, I think that's why I'm like used to editing them in Photoshop because I want them to like look a certain way to be unique. But yeah, this one is mine this time. So I'm trying for this challenge to do mostly my own reference photos just so, you know, people can't find them anywhere else. But a few of the ones from the challenge so far have been from like Canva or Pexels too. Maybe my husband can link those two things, Canva and Pexels, in the chat there and you guys can see where I get my photos from. Yeah. Yeah, so it's different every time. I'm a big fan of like using my own photos, but sometimes like you can't find the reference that like you want. So it's nice to have the option of like using the different websites to get exactly what you want. And then you can just edit them to be your own. Yeah, you can link pixels and Canva on there, because those are like my two favorite, pixels and Canva. Canva is just awesome for editing all graphics. Like I like doing like my thumbnails and stuff on Canva too. Okay, I think I've added enough like little highlights in there. We can always come back in and like touch things up near the end if we want to add a bit more like shine to some of them, but I like how it looks so far. Okay, I'm gonna grab a brand new brush for the background. I think I'll use my number 6 brush, so a slightly bigger one for the background. Do I have any pets? Yes. So the cat tree here in the background, we have 2 cats. They might come join. Actually, I could grab Kit Kat. She is right there. She's like watching me, hoping that like I pick her up at some point. She likes to be held and cuddled. She's so cute. Hi, Kit Kat. Oh, I love you. Normally she sits with me while I paint, but I'm not sitting. I set things up so I'm standing. This is Kit Kat. She's my little baby. I love her so much. She's a little mommy's girl. Hello. And then we also have a dog too. His name's Toby. Pretty much my husband's dog. He just chills with my husband all the time. So the cats are like my little babies and the dog is my husband's. Here, baby girl. But she's so cute. Ugh, I just love her so much. I love my kitties. I want more cats. I think at some point we want to get some more cats in the future. I feel like 2 cats and a dog is quite a bit though for now, so I think we've got a pretty full house, but we could still have room to fit more cats, right? We would just need to get a few more cat trees. Okay, we're gonna add a pink in this section now. I'm gonna slowly work on the gradient in the background. Now I'm not putting a lot of paint on my brush because I don't want too much while I'm trying to blend colors. Hey, welcome, welcome. I have 2 cats. That's crazy. Yeah, 2 cats is a good number. I always grew up with cats, so I knew as an adult I wanted to have cats. They're just like, they've got like the best personalities. I just love how they're like so unique and they're so cute. And they're very chill, like, because we also have a dog, right? So the energy between cats and dogs is very different. Like, I'm definitely more of a cat person. But I love our dog. He's like a very chill dog. He's not a super high energy dog. So I'm good with like low energy dogs. And then yeah, just like cats are very chill, and then like they kind of have like the crazy zoomies and stuff sometimes, which is just funny to watch. So I'm very much into that energy when they like play with their little toys. So cute watching them catch their little toys. Okay, I think we're gonna start like adding in this transition color here, this pinkish color. And we'll slowly blend it into this pinky purple as we go. And hopefully that'll, yeah, that's blending pretty nicely. And I might clean off my brush now a little bit, just so we can go into that pink color more. And don't feel too worried as you're putting these colors on too. They'll kind of change as you add other colors alongside them. So at the end you can kind of look to see if you want to make the colors a little bit different throughout. That's why a lot of people use underpaintings, which is not what I'm doing today. And then I'm gonna slowly make it lighter as it like goes down in the gradient. So I'm gonna keep the darker colors kind of near the top section here, and we'll slowly blend down. Now I'm gonna slowly work into this orange color. I'm not gonna clean off my brush because we're gonna do a blend anyway. Got it on the side there. We'll slowly blend this out a bit into the pink. Go up into this area. Almost time to do the transition color down a bit. It's looking pretty good. We can kind of like blend it out a little bit more too. And go back in there and like blend it after as well. So we're gonna transition down on the orangey side with more of that like pink color. So I'm gonna clean this off a little bit and work on this color here, the second one down at the end. And that's the color we used here, but I'm gonna also use it over here. Oh, Kit Kat is now playing. I'm not sure what she's doing, but she just got really hyper. She's like bouncing on things in the living room. She's so cute. And you guys said you had cats too. What do you have like long-haired cats or like shorter-haired cats? I don't actually know what breed our cats are. They're just probably just regular domestic long and short-haired cats. We adopted them, so. Oh, the one breed that I really love is like the ragdoll cats. They just seem so sweet and cuddly. I love them. I think of you as the new Bob Ross. Oh my gosh, that's such a compliment. I love Bob Ross so much. When I first got into oil painting, I actually watched a lot of Bob Ross. Like, I love his stuff. He's just so relaxing. I used to watch him as a kid too. He just He pulls on my heartstrings. Like he did so much good when he was on this earth for the creative community. So definitely compare me all you want to Bob Ross. I love that. Ugh. Okay, we've got that up there. I'm just kind of going around the stars now and adding in just the edges of the stars to kind of like smooth them out a little bit. Okay, we're gonna go down in there with a bit of the, I would say a bit more of this like lighter pink color on this edge here. We want to be careful because we've got the shadow here too, so I'm leaving the shadows blank. And I'm just bringing some of this lighter pink up into the top edges. I'm gonna come around here and try to get as close to the star as we can with the brush. We can always come back in with like a liner brush if we feel like we can't, because we don't want the blue to blend with the background too much. Else we'll end up with a different color we don't want. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the star here. So I'm going to go back in with this lighter pink and add that lighter pink in here. Add it around. This is like the delicate part now. Just very, very light, soft strokes all around the star, so we don't blend it too much. That will help us get a nice transition too between the colors if you just blend it really, really gently. It's kind of like wispy motions along the edges of the colors. And then take more of that pinky color and add it into the side of the star. Such a pretty color background to do. I'm glad I picked this gradient of color. I feel like I've been really enjoying like the purples and oranges together lately. A lot of my paintings have involved purple and orange. It's just such a pretty color combination. I love how they transition together, and they're like, I would say they're not like opposite sides of the color wheel, but they transition so nicely together. So they're not like contrasting colors. And I guess when you add them with the blue, they're really nice. There, that gradient is looking really nice too in that top section here. I'm gonna actually come in with more of like a purpley pink on this side. So I'm gonna bring this down here first to that section. So I'm kind of just bringing the pink down to like here-ish. And then this bottom section is going to have like the lighter purple here. So we're really playing with a lot of colors in the background today. That's why I kept like the subject decently simple. So hopefully we can spend most of the time on like this background here. I feel like blending colors and like gradients and stuff is one of my favorite things to do. And those like bouquet backgrounds too. Got to get better at doing like my own photography so I can like create those like bouquet backgrounds. They're like, you know, the fuzzy backgrounds that have the like little circles in the background, and they're so fuzzy and pretty. Just love the look of them. So I want to do more of those. Okay, I'm going to clean off my brush a little bit now. And my palette knife. Running out of space to clean off our brush. Might have to flip this over soon. Okay. I want to get a decent amount of this off. Flip that over. Decent amount of the paint off. And we're going to start working on these colors now. So I'm going to go into this second color. Don't need too much of this, but it's the nice transition color between this. Hopefully we can blend it with this pink on the side here too. Softly blend that up into the top a bit. I hope the colors are looking okay on your guys' end. It's hard to tell sometimes if the colors are going to look okay on screen. I was trying to mess around with the color settings a bit to hopefully get it a little bit more accurate this time. Specifically like with the camera settings. I just got like a new webcam that I'm like playing with for this feed, and the colors seem to be decent. They err on more of like the blue side, so I feel like the pink kind of looks a little desaturated like on the actual screen, but it's nice and bright in person. Like it's quite bright in person, but it doesn't look that way on screen for some reason. Okay, we're gonna go in with this slighter light purple, purpley pink into this bottom section here and blend it out a little bit. There we go. It's closer to what we want. Blend it out into that section a bit too. And now we're going to work on the bottom area. These were the colors we kind of mixed for that bottom section, mostly this nice purple color. So we're going to start out with that because that's, yeah, more of the purple color here. And we're going to work around the shadows, making sure we don't touch the shadows. I'm almost going to kind of line this up a little bit, and we'll blend that line out afterwards. But for now, we'll just get the base of the colors in. Now, my cat keeps trying to climb onto my art table. She won't let me be. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's the struggle with cats. The amount of times the cats have like jumped up on to my table and tried to step on my palette. They definitely have stepped on my palette a few times, and then I get like so worried because like, I mean, I don't use like a ton of like toxic pigments or anything, but I clean their paws off as quick as I can. Oh man, that's the struggle. They just love jumping up and being with us. Or onto the computer desk, right? They jump on your keyboard. When I'm trying to work, I have to turn off my keyboard a lot of the time. They like to lay on the laptop because I have like my main computer hooked up to the laptop, so I try to keep the laptop screen up, but they always want to sit on it. So I just end up keeping it closed, and like that's their place to lay. And I have another monitor now. Got a specific monitor just so they can lay on the laptop. Okay. That in there. I'm gonna go into this back section here too. Just above. Here, that's pretty good. I feel like we picked a really good background. Really, really love this purple. Now we're gonna leave some room. Here, I'll use this little arrow so you can kind of see that there's the purple color we're adding right now, but there's a more bluish tone here from the reflection of the stars that I kind of added in Photoshop because I just thought it would look cool to have a reflection there. And so I'm gonna leave some room to make that like bluish. And I blended this color here for that blue. Just to give a little extra color shift in that purple. I might even add some of the blue tones like over here a bit. It's going to be very subtle. I'm not going to mix it too much. And I'm really blending this out into the paper because I really want it to be smooth in the background. Maybe you could add like little brush strokes and stuff if you want in the background. It depends on what style you're going for. I'm curious, what kind of style do you guys do for your art? Leave that down in the comment section. Let me know what kind of style you tend to do. Mine, I was saying earlier, I like to do more like painterly realism. I'm not so much like hyper realism where I like to add every single little detail. I like to make it a bit unique and my own by adding, you know, like little brush strokes here and there, but definitely err on the side of realism because there's something about recreating something from life that's really cool. Not that this reference photo is from life though, because the candies are from life, and then I like made the background like totally like bright and unnatural how it was in person. On my Instagram, if you look, I posted a photo of what the reference photo looked like before I edited the photo. It was very plain. I just took a picture of candy on a white piece of paper. So there wasn't much to it before, and that's why I felt like it needed like such a bright background. It's just fun to play with like more colors. Okay, we're just adding this like purpley blue into this area. I want to make it pretty subtle, so I'm going to blend this out quite a bit into it. Just so it's like very subtly blue in there. Same with here. I'm actually going to add a little bit of that blue tone in here. But that one's not as bright as the front one. That's what we're going for. Is that just a slight bit? I've got like a fuzzy on there. Take that off. Okay, let's see. And once we add the shadows in, it should really bring it out a little bit more. Now, as we go into this area on the side, we're going more into these pinky colors that we made. So we've got this pink color is closer to that section. I want to use this color here. Yeah, so we're slowly going to transition into this deeper pinky purple color as we get over here. I'm still going to, I think, bring a little bit of that purple into this bottom section here, because it looks like in the reference, yeah, we've got kind of this deep mixing with this purple. So yeah, we're using this pinkish color now into the side section. We'll blend it out. The background looks hard to put together. Yeah, there's a lot of like very subtle colors that if you're not paying close attention, you might miss some of them. That's why I thought I would focus more on a cool gradient background today, because sometimes you don't know how to approach a background like this, and it's nice to have a little bit of guidance when you're first starting out making like these gradient colors, because they can definitely be a little tricky to begin with. And the biggest thing with these like gradient backgrounds is making sure that you pre-mix the colors beforehand and make sure like they go together on the palette and they look pretty accurate, or else you end up with a really wonky looking background that doesn't blend very nicely together. So it's definitely very much in the color mixing for the backgrounds when you have such bright gradients like this. We're going to add this color up into this section. I'm going to actually leave a little bit of room so we can do more of this pinky transition color here. I think I just want to bring that color down a little bit. I've also got a bit of a shadow that like comes out a bit. So I'm going to make sure I leave enough room for that. the background is coming together slowly, so we're getting it to work. I'm gonna bring some of this pink into this section a little bit. There. And then we said we were gonna bring a bit of this pinky orange color into here a bit too. I'm gonna reshape this star a little bit on the edge. Didn't like how it was going down so much. I'm gonna blend that in there. Trying to leave enough room to still put the shadow there. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. And then we'll be able to like touch up around the stars after too. Okay, so now we'll work on the shadow a bit. I'm gonna actually grab a new brush for the shadow because it is very dark. This one should work too. It's another number 4 Josol blender brush, the Princeton Velvet Touch series ones. And this is our darker colors here on the side. And so I was saying that I might do a bit more of this kind of in the top section. So I'm gonna go in with this for the top shadow. So this is just for the top star here, right on the edge, because it's definitely more orangey on that section, and then it kind of fades into more of like purpley down here. So I grab another blender brush to like blend the edges out. So I have another one of these ones. It's a round Princeton Imperial series one. It's another one kind of like the one we use for the blue star blending. And so we're gonna slowly blend that out just along like the edge. You can kind of see along the shadow, it's like blurry. And some shadows are very like there's very solid lines along the edges, but this one is a bit more blurry because it's a lot further away from the object. And I kind of like blurry shadows like that. They're some of my favorite shadows to do, is the blurry shadows. They just look so pretty. And so the shadow underneath the star actually isn't the same color. We mixed this slightly bluish tone for underneath. And so I think if I just take my little blender brush and use the other one that was for the blue underneath the star, we can get more of that deep shadow. I might use a little bit of that turquoise as well to get kind of that deeper shadow. And I can go in there with a little bit of the color that we were using just to blend it out a bit. See how I'm like bringing the blue into that shadow a bit, just on the edges. Dab off that so I don't get too much blue in this top section here. I have to go back in with, oh crap, dropping my brushes. Everything's fine. Okay, we're gonna go into that section with, I brought the blue up a little too much. That's okay, we can correct that a little bit. Add a bit more paint on top of it. Should be okay. And that's why we're doing it like thin too, because it's easier to cover up any like little mistakes you make when you have the paint pretty thin. And so that is darker there. So I'm going to add a little bit of this red color in the bottom of the green shadow here. Looks outstanding. Thank you. I'm glad you guys like the reference this week. I've had a lot of compliments on the reference this week. Glad you like my Photoshop skills on the reference. I feel like it's such a fun reference to do. There's just like so many bright colors. Yeah, so you can see how like, you know, it's a little bit blue here and then it fades to that darker color there. That's exactly what we were going for. So now the other shadows, we actually do have a bit of that orange shadow in this one here, and it fades to more of that purpley as we get over to the side. So I'm going to add a bit of that darker red shadow here. And then we're going to grab, this is the blender we were using. I'm going to try to dab off as much of the pigment as I can. So when we're blending this out, it looks pretty good. There we go. And then as we move in to this shadow, there's a bit of a darkness in this shadow on the side as well. This kind of deeper color. And this shadow is interesting because it blends from that darker red color into this purpley color, and some of the outsides of that shadow are a bit more of this color. So we've got a lot of colors actually going on in the shadows here. I'm going to go in and grab a little bit of this purpley color, maybe a mix between this purple. I'm actually gonna, don't want the shadow to go quite all the way. I'm gonna keep more of that shadow in the picture there, yeah. And then I'm gonna take my blender and blend this darker shadow out on the edges. Dab off your brush in between blends. Okay, now we're gonna work into that darker purple color. So I'm gonna clean off my brush that has the orange color on it. I'm holding a lot of brushes right now. Sometimes I look down and I'm like, oh, I'm holding like 6 brushes at once. Because you're just kind of near the end when you're adding detail, you're like going from one brush to the other when wasn't expecting the shadow to start off that way. Yeah, the shadows have a lot of colors that you sometimes don't realize. And when you take a really close look at the shadows, if you can get those transition colors in the shadow, you'll get a bit more depth to your painting. So it's cool to play around with the colors in your shadows and really take a close look at how the shadows are on the page. Okay, we're going in with that purple color. Oh, I definitely have, there's like a hair on there. You get like, it's probably cat hair. Looks like cat hair. That's the one thing with having cats in the studio, right? And I get cat hair and everything. they're worth it though. I don't mind their cat hair. Okay, there's definitely still, there is a hair in there. Might be hard for you guys to see, but there's like a little hair in there. I need like to add tweezers to my kit so I can just like tweeze off hairs. I'm fainting. Ugh. Gonna have baked in cat hair into the painting. I'll go into it after and grab the hair out. I'll try to get it here. There, I got the hair out. There we go. Just re-blend that out. Okay, and we'll go back in to this darker purple section. And I'm actually going to add a bit of darker purple here. We want to leave some room for that turquoise color we made though, because it is a bit more blue underneath that. And since I already have this darker shadow color on my brush, I'm going to go into this shadow as well, because that's one is purpley as well. Very dark, desaturated purple, but it is purple. And I'll also go in to that deep section too there. Yeah. And we'll get our blender brush and we'll blend some of these purples out. We'll go in with the blue color. So I'm just going to take the blender brush that I have. I'm going to go with this really deep blue, a little bit of that. I'm just going to put a little bit underneath each of them. And then I'm going to clean off my brush. I'm going to go back in with the one I was using to blend out the brown or the purpley shadow color, calling it brown. And I'm going to blend that out. Trying to blend this section here, that darker blue. And we'll also go into this section as well. We're going to bring some of that blue over to the side as well. We're going to have to go back into the star after and like add a bit more depth to the bottom part just so the star stands out away from the shadow. I'm going to add a bit more of that purpley color over here. I'll make it stand out from the star a little bit. I'll put this area here. Okay, stars are looking pretty good. We got some areas to touch up on the sides for sure. Just around the edges. If we touch those up. Okay, I'm going to put some of these brushes down. We're going to take a step back, make sure that once you get kind of the base layer done, you take a step back from your painting and just kind of look at where you can add either more depth to the painting by adding like shadows in certain sections. So I definitely want to add more of a shadow underneath the star. So this one has white on it, so I'm just going to keep that. I'm going to grab another brush. I have a 10/0 Princeton liner brushes, and I'm going to take this deep turquoise color with it, and I'm going to add some, just a little bit more to this shadow area here. I feel like it needs a bit more deeper colors in there. I want to blend it out. Painting looks a bit out of focus. Oh, does it? I mean, we haven't added the detail in yet, so maybe it's like literally just out of focus on the painting right now. If that's what you mean. But I tried to get the webcam as in focus as I could before I started. I actually feel like we need to add a slightly darker color to our palette. So when I'm making a really dark color, I don't like to add black. I'm adding ultramarine blue and a little bit of alizarin crimson. It makes a really deep purple, and I like to use that instead of black, because black just makes things look muddy and less saturated. I try to avoid black if I can. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of this onto my brush, and I think it'll look good if I put some in the shadow area and we like blend it out a bit, just because you need a slightly deeper color in the shadow here. And this back section too. That'll just make it stand out a little bit more, I think. Just really playing around with the shadows in this one. I'm not sure how we could get it more in focus though, if it isn't in focus. I can look on my thing a bit. It's a little out of focus, I see what you mean. Maybe I can adjust the camera a little bit next time. See what I can do to adjust things. And then the painting is gorgeous. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Oh man, getting paint on my hand. Always getting paint on my hands. Trying not to get paint on my clothes today. Looks good otherwise. Yeah, I think like obviously it might just also be the stream. I feel like it doesn't give the best quality. Like the cameras are 1080p that I'm using. A few of them are actually 4K, but it doesn't let you stream in 4K or 1080p. feel like everyone was streaming in that amount, it would maybe be hard. But I'm glad you can see the gist of the painting and what I was going for. Okay, I'm just gonna soften up the edges around here. Decided I wanted this a little bit softer, especially where the colors kind of meet on the edges. So I'm just going around really, really lightly with the little blender brush, and I'm trying to kind of take away some of the harsh lines right along the edges. Cleaning off my brush as I go around too. Then around here. We'll go in, I think, with some of the darker colors along the edges too. Just to make it stand out a little bit more. My husband's upstairs working on his coding. He switched industries. He used to be in the military as an electronics technologist or technician, and now he's taking care of my website. He's learning how to like do coding online so then he can manage like our websites, which is really fun. So if you check out my website, you can see all of the work that he has done on there. He's like hosting it on the cloud and stuff, and teaching me how to do certain things on the website. Might as well work on it while you're streaming. Yeah. And then after the stream, like I said, we're going to work on our gingerbread house today. So excited to work on the gingerbread house more today. It'll be so fun. Okay, those stars, they're coming together now. I like blended them out again because I didn't like how they were kind of sitting. I'm gonna add, like I said, a bit more highlights again, just in slightly different areas. I decided I want yeah, sounds like a fun day. We're just gonna, my husband also has like the week off. This is his like 1 week off of school and work, so we're gonna try to make the most of it anyway. Be able to hang out as a family. Our son is upstairs just like playing video games too, I think, right now, so we'll get him off the video games and we can all do something fun together. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit of that purpley color that we made into the different sections, and we're just like touching things up now. At this point, we're just touching everything up. So then certain sections stand out. And we can go back in with like the blender brushes around certain areas if we feel like they need it. I'm just trying to add those like darker areas now. And then we'll adding this nice dark purple to it, I think is really making certain sections stand out, which is nice. It's kind of what we were looking for. I think this is my favorite painting so far. Oh, I'm glad you like it. I really like it too. I feel like it's very colorful. It's very much me and my bright, colorful paintings. This is like what I try to do in like all of my paintings is this bright colorfulness. But the stars, when I took a picture of the stars the other day, I was like, wow, these are really pretty. They could look really nice as a painting. So I'm glad I made it part of the paint challenge so then you guys can all enjoy the reference photo too. Okay. Then we really got to go back in and add a few more highlights. Yeah, that's looking pretty cute now. Okay, I'm gonna grab my little highlight brush. I wanted to add in some lighter sections along the side. More of the blue color. So there's a bit of like lighter reflections on there. So I'm really trying to add those reflections into the edges. I'm gonna keep holding the darker brush too, so I can alternate between the dark and this lighter color if I feel like I need it in certain sections. Blend that out a bit with the blender brush too. Okay, we'll go in there with some of these lighter colors. Almost there, exactly. We're getting there. Just adding all the details now so the stars stand out a little bit more. Making sure that it looks good. I'm gonna actually grab this guy here. Got I'm just gonna bring it a little bit closer, the background. Just to like shape the star a little bit different. There. I shape it on the bottom a little bit too. Yeah, it's getting there. I actually want to blend out this line, I think, a little bit more between these colors. Might just use this brush that we were using on that color. Got so many brushes now. Okay, I'll blend this color out a bit too, because I didn't want it that harsh between the background and the top. Yeah, that's more like it. Yeah, a more subtle color there is what I wanted. There. Blend that into the top a little bit. There we go. And now go back in here, adding the slightly darker color of the blue right now. And now I really got to add some highlights. I'm going to clean off the blue quite a bit so it doesn't get into the highlight color. So we want these highlights to be like super bright if we can. Just dipping it a lot in the linseed oil. Running out of room to like dip my brush on here. Okay, now we're gonna dip it in the white here. And this one's just like solid titanium white that I put here. Now we're gonna add these tiny little highlights. We're gonna go really close and add those highlights in. There's a little bit of a highlight along the front here too. And we've got a bit of a highlight along here. That one's less prominent, that highlight. Definitely have some highlight here. This will make them look extra shiny. Got a highlight along the top. And on the edge of the star there. Yeah. And we've got just a little bit there at the bottom as well. Actually, I'm gonna take this blender brush here. I feel like I want to blend out this color a little bit around the highlight. The line is very, there we go. Blend that out a little bit. Okay, back to highlighting. Got distracted. Okay. And now we've got some highlights over here. There. And then we've also got a highlight along the edge here. Putting a bit of a highlight in the shadow of it. Very lightly tap in the shadow. There. I think those hearts are looking nice and shiny now. Let me step back and see what we've got. Take a nice step back. Those are looking really cute. I think we can call it there, right? I think we can call it there. Let me take one final shot for the B-roll. We'll just add a little highlight in there. And there we go. Yeah, I like that. What do you guys think? Yeah. I can probably stop the time-lapse video now. We took 3,223 photos in that time-lapse, so actually one of the shorter time-lapses. Some of my time-lapses have a lot of photos. I edited a time-lapse the other day, like for the pine cone, and it had like over 15,000 photos in that time-lapse. So the 3,200 isn't too bad. Okay, I guess we're kind of done with that. I will post a picture of this on my Instagram, so then you guys can look at the finished piece, especially if you're like watching it back on the rerun or the VOD, then you can kind of see what my original one is here. It will be more accurate to color on Instagram when I post it. But I have a little thank you scene. So if you didn't see it at the start, I have these little paint challenge things, and that's how you can join if you want to watch this back and then do this reference photo. And make sure you tag me on like Instagram and Facebook at Megan Josol Art, and tag or do the hashtag like mini paint challenge, so then I can find your stuff, because I'm like looking at the hashtag sometimes to see what you guys are up to with the reference photos. So yeah, these are it. And then I've also got another scene here. I'm mostly active on Instagram, but I try to like cross post to Facebook too. So my Instagram is where to find me here. And then Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I try to post these mini paint challenges like a little bit ahead so you can get a notification when they go live. Ooh, mentioned that we have a place to collect those. Place to collect those. Yeah. So I have like a little highlight in my Instagram, like the little Instagram story highlights. I have a little one for like your guys's like little paintings. If you make a painting, I can put you in my little follower highlights there, just so everyone can see like what you guys have done so far as the challenge goes. But thank you for hanging out with me today, and I hope you guys have a happy new year and that the rest of your holidays go well. But I will see you next week on Wednesday in the new year in 2024. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you later. Bye, everyone.